The ammonia burned my nostrils as I scrubbed the marble floor of Luminaire's back hallway, my knees aching against the cold stone despite the threadbare knee pads I'd salvaged from a dumpster 3 months ago. Each circular motion of my arm sent a dull throb through my shoulder. 6 hours into my shift, and I still had the VIP dining room to clean before midnight. I was invisible here. That's what they paid me for. $20 an hour to make sure the ultra-wealthy never had to acknowledge that someone actually maintained their pristine world. The managers didn't even bother learning my name. I was just the cleaner, a ghost who appeared after hours to erase the evidence of excess. My stomach growled, reminding me I'd skipped dinner again. The leftover pasta I'd planned to eat had gone to Mrs. Chen next door, whose disability check hadn't come through yet. I'd learned long ago that hunger was temporary, but the look in a neighbor's eyes when you showed them kindness, that lasted. Tessa, the private dining room needs a final check. Marco, the night manager, barely glanced at me as he passed. Mr. Grayson's party will be here in 20 minutes. Everything must be perfect. Mr. Grayson. I'd heard the kitchen staff whisper that name with the kind of reverence usually reserved for visiting royalty. Tyler Grayson, the man who owned half the city's real estate, whose legitimate businesses were fronts for an empire built on shadows and strategic violence. The kind of man who made problems disappear with a phone call. I gathered my supplies and made my way to the private dining room, a sanctuary of wealth separated from the main restaurant by thick soundproof walls. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across surfaces that probably cost more than my yearly rent. The table was set for 2, intimate, romantic even. I checked each place setting with meticulous care. Perfect alignment of silverware, spotless crystal glasses, fresh roses in the centerpiece with no wilted petals. This wasn't just about keeping my job. In my world, attention to detail was survival. Voices filtered through from the kitchen corridor. I froze, my hand hovering over a water glass I'd been about to polish. Has to happen tonight. A woman's voice, cultured and cold. Tyler's guard will be lower with me there. Romantic dinner, his favorite wine, then Marcus's men move in from the service entrance at exactly 10:30. My heart hammered against my ribs. I shouldn't be hearing this. I should leave, forget everything, go back to my invisible existence. And you're sure he won't suspect? A man's voice now, rough like gravel. Grayson didn't build his empire by being careless. He won't suspect me. The woman laughed, a sound like breaking glass. I've been the perfect girlfriend for 6 months. Doting, supportive, exactly what his therapist said he needed after the Moretti incident. He thinks I'm his redemption. I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing. Through the crack in the door, I could see shadows moving, a woman in a red dress that probably cost more than my car, and a hulking man whose stance screamed security or soldier. Marcus is taking a risk moving against his own boss, the woman continued. If this fails, it won't fail, Vanessa. Not with you as the bait. The man's voice carried absolute certainty. Grayson trusts you. That's his weakness. By midnight, Marcus will control the organization, and you'll have exactly what you want. Tyler Grayson dead, and enough money to disappear to wherever you want. Vanessa, the girlfriend, the trap. They moved away, their voices fading down the corridor. I remained frozen, my mind racing. Tyler Grayson was walking into an ambush in... I glanced at the antique clock on the wall. 18 minutes. What was I supposed to do? Call the police? The police in this city either worked for men like Grayson or looked the other way. Run? Hide? Pretend I'd heard nothing? I thought about my mother's voice years ago, before the cancer took her. Tessa, baby, you've got to decide what kind of person you want to be. The kind who stands by when bad things happen, or the kind who does something, even when it's hard. My hands trembled as I pulled a napkin from the perfectly arranged table setting. I found a pen in my cleaning apron. I used it to mark which rooms I'd finished, and wrote in shaky letters, "Your girlfriend set up an ambush. Run. Service exit. Now. I folded the napkin carefully, my heart pounding so hard I could hear blood rushing in my ears. This was insane. I was risking everything, my job, possibly my life, for a man I'd never met, a criminal who probably wouldn't hesitate to have me killed if he thought I was a threat. But the alternative was standing by while someone walked unknowingly to their death. And that wasn't the person my mother had raised. I positioned the napkin at Tyler Grayson's place setting, trying to make it look natural, artfully folded like the other one, but distinct enough that he'd notice something was different. The sound of approaching voices sent panic through me. I grabbed my cleaning supplies and hurried toward the service hallway, but froze when the door opened. He filled the doorway. Tyler Grayson in person. Tall, maybe 6'3", with dark hair swept back from a face that magazines would call classically handsome, but that held something harder beneath the polish. His charcoal suit fit like it had been sewn onto his body, and his presence seemed to alter the air pressure in the room. But it was his eyes that caught me, gray like storm clouds, intelligent and assessing, the eyes of someone who'd learned to read threats in every shadow. Behind him, Vanessa glided in wearing that red dress like armor. She was stunning in the way of women who'd weaponized their beauty. Perfect bone structure, artfully styled blonde hair, a smile that didn't reach her calculating eyes. I kept my head down, clutching my cleaning supplies, trying to embody the invisible servant they expected. Everything looks perfect as always, Vanessa purred, her hand possessive on Tyler's arm. Shall we sit, darling? Give us a moment, Tyler said to me, his voice a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the floor. I nodded mutely and moved toward the exit, my pulse thundering. Would he notice the napkin? Would he understand? Or would he dismiss it as a prank, a mistake, nothing worth his attention? I couldn't leave. Not yet. I needed to know if the warning had reached him. I positioned myself in the service hallway, just out of sight, where I could hear without being seen. My cleaning cart blocked the corridor. If anyone came, I had an excuse for being here. Wine, Tyler? Vanessa's voice was honey-sweet. In a moment, there was something in his tone that made me straighten. Alert. Careful. A pause. I imagined him unfolding the napkin, reading the words I'd scrawled in desperate haste. Tyler? What is it? Nothing. His voice had gone flat, emotionless. Just checking the menu. But I heard the lie, the sudden tension beneath the casual words. You seem distracted tonight, Vanessa pressed. Is everything all right with the Castellano deal? Everything's fine. The scrape of a chair. Footsteps. I need to make a quick call. Business. You know how it is. Tyler, can it wait? This is supposed to be our evening. 5 minutes. I'll be right back. His footsteps moved toward the door, not toward the main dining room, but toward the service hallway. Toward me. I pressed myself against the wall, my heart in my throat. He rounded the corner and stopped, his gray eyes locking onto mine with the precision of a predator spotting prey. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Me in my stained cleaning uniform, reeking of ammonia and exhaustion. Him in his $10,000 suit, radiating power and danger. You wrote this. It wasn't a question. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Why? I swallowed hard. I overheard Vanessa, in the kitchen corridor. She's planning. There's going to be an ambush, at 10:30, through the service entrance. Someone named Marcus. His expression didn't change, but something deadly flickered in those storm-gray eyes. How much do you know about my organization? Nothing. I'm just the cleaner. I don't know anything about your business. I just heard her talking, and I thought... The words tumbled out in a rush. I thought someone should warn you. He studied me with an intensity that made me feel stripped bare, as though he could see through skin and bone to catalog my fears, my motivations, every lie I'd ever told. "What's your name?" "Tessa. Tessa Morgan." "Well, Tessa Morgan." He glanced at his watch, a platinum piece that probably cost more than I'd make in 5 years. "You've just complicated your life considerably, but possibly saved mine." Before I could respond, he turned back toward the dining room. I heard Vanessa's voice, bright and artificial. "There you are. I was beginning to think you'd forgotten about me." "Never." Tyler's voice was warm now, performative. "Just had to handle something urgent. Shall we eat?" I should have left then. Should have grabbed my cleaning cart and disappeared into the maze of service corridors, clocked out, gone home to my tiny apartment, and forgotten this night ever happened. Instead, I waited. Because something told me this wasn't over. 10 minutes passed. I listened to the murmur of their conversation, Vanessa's practiced laugh, the clink of silverware on china. Normal. Perfectly normal. Then, at exactly 10:28, I heard it. The service entrance door opening. Multiple footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Men who moved like soldiers. "Now," someone whispered. They were early. And Tyler was still in that dining room. Without thinking, without planning, I abandoned my cart and ran toward the private dining room, my worn sneakers silent on the marble floor. I burst through the door just as 3 armed men entered from the opposite entrance. Tyler was already on his feet, Vanessa's carefully constructed surprise frozen on her face. "Get down!" I screamed. The first gunshot shattered the crystal chandelier above us. The world exploded into chaos. Crystal rained down like deadly snow, and I hit the floor on instinct, my hands covering my head as shards embedded themselves in the carpet around me. Another gunshot, then another. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space, nothing like the muted pops you hear in movies. This was visceral, violent, each shot a physical assault on my eardrums. Through the ringing in my ears, I heard Tyler's voice, sharp and commanding. "Marcus, you're making a mistake. The only mistake was trusting you." A man stepped through the smoke, tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of cold eyes I'd seen on loan sharks in my neighborhood. He held his gun steady, aimed directly at Tyler. "You've gone soft, Grayson. Therapy? A girlfriend? Next you'll be going legitimate, and we can't have that. So you align yourself with the Castellanos." Tyler's voice was eerily calm despite the gun pointed at his chest. "How much did they pay you for my head, Marcus?" "Enough." Marcus smiled, and it was the smile of a man who'd already won. "And the girl?" He gestured toward Vanessa, who'd pressed herself against the far wall, her performance of terror almost convincing. "She was just insurance. Made sure you'd be exactly where we needed you." I was still on the floor, trying to make myself as small as possible, when Tyler's eyes found mine. In that fraction of a second, I saw a calculation happening, a decision being made. "The cleaner warned me," Tyler said, his tone conversational. "Overheard your little planning session with Vanessa. Quite careless, Marcus." Marcus's expression darkened. His gun swiveled toward me, and I felt my bladder clench with terror. "She's nobody," Marcus said. "Collateral damage. She's the reason I'm still standing." Tyler moved then, faster than I would have thought possible for a man in a suit. He grabbed a chair and hurled it at the nearest gunman, then dove behind the overturned table. More gunshots. Wood splintered. I crawled toward the only cover I could see, a heavy sideboard against the wall. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely control them. "Tessa!" Tyler's voice cut through the chaos. "The service corridor. Go. Now." But I was frozen, terror nailing me to the floor. I'd never been shot at before. I'd never even seen a real gun until tonight. My entire world had been poverty and hard work and keeping my head down, and now I was in the middle of a mob war. Something warm splashed across my face. I looked up to see one of the gunmen falling, red blooming across his white shirt. Tyler stood over him, holding the man's own gun, his expression cold as winter. "Move, Tessa." Not a request, a command. My body obeyed before my mind could catch up. I scrambled to my feet and ran toward the service corridor, my legs shaky beneath me. Behind me, I heard Tyler's voice, ice cold. "Vanessa, darling. Such a shame. We could have been good together." "Tyler, wait. I can explain." Her cultured composure had cracked, real fear bleeding through. I didn't hear his response. I was through the door, into the corridor, running on pure adrenaline. Heavy footsteps pounded behind me. I risked a glance back and saw Tyler, his suit jacket abandoned, his white shirt splattered with blood that I prayed wasn't his. He was right behind me, moving with lethal grace. "Keep going," he ordered. "Service exit," then left. "My car is in the private lot." "Your car. How do you—" "I always have an exit strategy." He grabbed my arm, pulling me faster. "One thing you learn in this business. Trust no one, and always know the way out." We burst through the service exit into the cold November night. The private parking lot was small, dimly lit, surrounded by high walls. A sleek black Mercedes sat waiting, looking like a predator at rest. Tyler pulled out his keys, but before we could reach the car, 2 more men appeared from the shadows. Marcus's backup plan. "Get behind me." Tyler pushed me backward, positioning himself between me and the gunman. "There's nowhere to run, boss." One of them, younger, with nervous energy, kept his gun trained on Tyler. "Marcus owns the organization now. You're done." "Am I?" Tyler's voice carried dark amusement. "Tell me, who signs your paychecks? Who built this empire?" "Marcus? He's middle management at best. A useful lieutenant who got too ambitious. He said you'd try to talk your way out." The second man, older, more confident, took a step forward. "Said you were good at that. Manipulation, making people believe you're untouchable." "I don't need to manipulate anyone." Tyler's hands were steady at his sides, no weapon visible. "I'm simply stating facts. Kill me, and what do you have? Marcus's empty promises? The Castellanos' scraps? Think about your families, your futures. Do you really want to trade a known quantity for chaos?" I could see the hesitation in the younger man's eyes, the slight waver of his gun hand. The older man noticed too. "Don't listen to him, Danny. He's playing you." Tyler moved. One moment he was talking, reasonable and calm. The next, he'd grabbed my wrist and yanked me down just as gunshots cracked the night air. We hit the pavement hard, my palms scraping against gravel. Then Tyler was up again, somehow having acquired a gun, from where, I had no idea, and the older man was falling, clutching his shoulder. The younger one dropped his weapon and raised his hands in surrender. "Smart choice, Danny." Tyler kept his gun trained on the man while pulling me to my feet with his other hand. "Tell Marcus that Tyler Grayson doesn't die that easily. Tell him I'm coming for everyone who betrayed me. And tell the Castellanos they just started a war they can't win." Danny ran, disappearing into the darkness. Tyler guided me toward the Mercedes, his hand firm on my back. "Get in." I obeyed, still functioning on automatic. The interior was leather and luxury, a world away from my 15-year-old Honda with its broken air conditioning and mysterious engine noises. Tyler started the engine, and we peeled out of the lot, tires squealing. I looked back through the rear window and saw flames. The restaurant was burning. Someone had set it on fire to cover their tracks, to eliminate evidence. My workplace, my paycheck, gone. The reality of what had just happened crashed over me. I started shaking uncontrollably, my teeth chattering despite the car's heated seats. "Breathe," Tyler commanded, his eyes on the road as he navigated through back streets with practiced precision. "In through your nose, out through your mouth. 4 counts each. Do it. I tried to follow his instructions, but my breathing kept hitching, panic clawing at my throat. Tessa. His voice was firm but not unkind. You saved my life tonight. Don't fall apart on me now. I need you functional. I'm just the cleaner, I managed between gasps. I don't know how to do this. You did fine. He made a sharp turn, checking the rearview mirror constantly. Better than fine. You kept your head, you warned me, and you moved when I told you to move. That's more than I can say for some people in my organization. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. He pulled out a phone, not the expensive smartphone I'd seen him carrying earlier, but a burner, cheap and disposable. He dialed a number. Stefan, it's me. Code red. Marcus flipped. Yes, with Castellano backing. I need the safe house prepped and a medical team on standby. A pause. No, I'm fine. But I have a civilian with me. She's under my protection now. He ended the call and glanced at me, his expression unreadable in the dashboard light. How much do you know about my business, Tessa? And don't lie. Your life might depend on the truth. Nothing. My voice was steadier now, the breathing exercise helping despite my terror. I know you're involved in organized crime. Everyone knows that. But I don't know details. I don't know names or operations or anything specific. I was just trying to make rent, and yet you warned me. Why? The question hung in the air between us. Why had I? Self-preservation would have been to stay quiet, to let whatever happened happen, to remain invisible like I'd learned to be. Because it was the right thing to do, I said finally. Because letting someone walk into an ambush, even someone like you, would have made me complicit. And I've had enough of feeling powerless in my own life. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or respect. You have no idea what you've just gotten yourself into. I saved your life. The words came out stronger than I felt. Doesn't that count for something? It counts for everything. His voice was quiet but absolute. Which is why you're under my protection now. Marcus knows you warned me. Vanessa knows. That makes you a target. Anyone associated with me becomes a target when there's an internal power struggle. I don't want protection. I just want to go home. Your home isn't safe anymore. He said it gently, but the truth was brutal. By now, Marcus's people have your address, your routine, everything about you. You go home, you're dead within 24 hours. The words should have terrified me more than the gunfight had. Instead, I felt a strange numbness settling over me, as though my capacity for fear had finally maxed out. So what happens now? Now? Tyler checked the mirror again, satisfied we weren't being followed. Now you stay alive, and you help me figure out exactly how deep this betrayal goes. Because if Marcus had the balls to move against me, he's not working alone. I need to know who else I can't trust. And you think I can help with that? I laughed, the sound edged with hysteria. I don't know anything about your world. You know how to be invisible, how to observe without being noticed. His eyes met mine briefly. That's exactly what I need right now. Someone no one would suspect. Someone who can move through spaces without raising alarms. You want to use me as a spy. I want to keep you alive. He corrected. And yes, in the process, you might be able to help me identify the snakes in my garden. But make no mistake, Tessa. You saved my life tonight. That creates an obligation. I protect what's mine. I'm not yours, I said automatically. His smile was small and dangerous. Tell me that again in a week, after you've been living under my protection, after you've seen what I'm willing to do to keep you safe. Then we'll see if you still believe that. The safe house wasn't what I expected. When Tyler said safe house, I'd pictured something grim and functional. Concrete walls, minimal furniture, the kind of place you hide when the world is hunting you. Instead, we pulled up to a brownstone in a quiet residential neighborhood, the kind of building with window boxes and a well-maintained stoop that screamed upper-middle-class respectability. "This is it?" I asked as Tyler killed the engine. Best hiding places are the ones no one would think to look. He was already scanning the street, his body language alert despite his calm demeanor. "Stay close to me. Don't speak to anyone. If I tell you to run, you run. Understood?" I nodded, my mouth too dry for words. We moved quickly from the car to the front door. Tyler used 3 different keys and entered a code into a hidden panel before the door opened. The security was invisible from the outside, but clearly extensive. Inside, the brownstone continued the illusion of normalcy. Hardwood floors, tasteful furniture, kitchen visible through an archway. It could have been any successful professional's home. Except for the man waiting in the living room with a gun holstered at his hip and the kind of alert stance that said military training. "Stefan." Tyler's voice carried relief and something else. Trust, maybe. "Status?" "Perimeter is secure. Medical team is upstairs. Marco's already put out word that you're dead. Restaurant fire. No survivors." Stefan's eyes moved to me, assessing. "This is the civilian?" "Tessa Morgan. She's under my protection." Tyler's hand on my back guided me forward. "Tessa, this is Stefan Kovac, my head of security. Former Serbian Special Forces. If I'm not available and Stefan gives you an order, you follow it without question." Stefan nodded at me, his expression neutral. "She's injured." I looked down at myself and saw what he meant. My cleaning uniform was torn, my palms scraped bloody from when we'd hit the pavement, and there was a gash on my forearm I didn't remember getting. Adrenaline had masked the pain, but now that someone had pointed it out, I felt every ache. "Nothing serious," I managed. "Let the medical team decide that." Tyler's hand was gentle on my elbow as he guided me toward the stairs. "Stefan, I need a full assessment. Who else besides Marcus has gone dark? Who's still loyal? And I want eyes on Vanessa. If she survived, I need to know where she is." "Already on it, boss." The upstairs bedroom had been converted into a makeshift medical station. A woman in her 40s with kind eyes and efficient movements introduced herself as Dr. Alai Reeves and began examining my injuries while Tyler stood by the door, making calls on that burner phone. "You're lucky," Dr. Reeves said, as she cleaned my scraped palms. "Nothing requiring stitches, some bruising, minor lacerations. You'll be sore tomorrow, but nothing permanent." "Lucky," I repeated, the word tasting absurd. I'd been shot at. My workplace had burned down. I was in a mob boss's safe house with no idea when or if I'd ever return to my normal life. "You're alive?" Dr. Reeves said quietly, meeting my eyes. "In this world, that's lucky." After she'd bandaged my wounds and left me with painkillers I was too afraid to take, I needed my wits sharp. I found myself alone in the bedroom. Tyler had disappeared to another part of the house with Stefan, leaving me with my thoughts for the first time since the shooting. I moved to the window, careful to stay behind the curtain. The street below was quiet, peaceful. Normal people living normal lives, unaware that just blocks away, someone was probably still cleaning up bodies from the restaurant massacre. How many had died tonight? The gunmen Tyler had shot, certainly. But what about the staff? Had Maria the hostess made it out? Jorge the sous chef who always saved me the burnt ends of bread? Had anyone besides me and Tyler survived? The weight of it pressed down on me, making it hard to breathe. I'd saved one life tonight, but how many others had ended because of the chain of events I'd set in motion by writing that note? They would have been there anyway. Tyler's voice from the doorway made me jump. The staff, the customers, Marcus would have killed them regardless. Witnesses are liabilities. You don't know that. I know, Marcus. He moved into the room, his jacket gone, his blood-stained shirt partially unbuttoned. He looked tired now, the adrenaline wearing off to reveal the human underneath the armor. I trained him myself, taught him everything he knows about this business, including the fact that loose ends get you killed. You taught him to murder innocent people. I taught him to survive. Tyler's voice was flat. This world doesn't have room for sentiment or mercy. You show weakness, you die. You leave witnesses, they testify. You hesitate, someone else doesn't. That's a convenient excuse for being a monster. I expected anger. Instead, he smiled. A small, tired expression that made him look suddenly younger. You're not wrong, but I am what this life made me, what my father made me, and his father before him. The Grayson family has controlled this territory for 3 generations through violence and fear. I didn't choose this path. I was born onto it. Everyone has choices. Do they? He moved to the window beside me, careful not to be visible from the street. I was 8 years old the first time I saw my father kill a man. 10 when he made me watch him torture someone for information. 12 when he put a gun in my hand and told me to prove I was his son. What choice did I have, Tessa? Walk away, and let the Castellanos or the Russos or any of the dozen other families take what was ours. Let my mother and sisters become targets. I didn't have an answer for that. My childhood had been hard. Poverty, my mother's long illness, the constant struggle to keep food on the table. But I'd never faced the kind of moral corruption he was describing. Why are you telling me this? I asked instead. Because you need to understand what you've stepped into. He turned to face me fully, his gray eyes intense. Marcus isn't just a traitor. He's a symptom. The organization has been fracturing for months. Too many people think I've gone soft because I started seeing a therapist after the Moretti incident. Because I've been trying to legitimize some of our operations. Because I hesitated to order a hit on a rival's kid. The Moretti incident? His jaw tightened. 6 months ago, we had a territorial dispute with the Moretti family. It escalated. People died, including a 16-year-old girl who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He paused. I gave the order that led to her death. Not directly, but the chain of cause and effect was clear. That's when I realized I was becoming exactly what my father was. Someone who saw people as pieces on a board, rather than as lives that mattered. So you started therapy. I couldn't keep the surprise from my voice. Seemed better than eating a bullet. His tone was matter of fact. But in this world, self-reflection is seen as weakness. Marcus and others like him think I've lost my edge, that I'm no longer fit to lead. Maybe they're right. Maybe. He didn't sound offended. Or maybe I'm the only one willing to evolve. This life, the violence, the constant paranoia. It's not sustainable. The old ways are dying. The families that don't adapt will be destroyed, either by law enforcement or by each other. And Vanessa, I had to ask. Was she real? Or was she playing you from the beginning? Something dark crossed his expression. I don't know. That's what makes it worse. 6 months I spent with her. 6 months of dates and conversations and intimacy, and I can't tell if any of it was real or if she was a Castellano plant from day one. The vulnerability in his voice surprised me. This was Tyler Grayson, the man who'd killed 3 people tonight without hesitation, who commanded an empire built on fear. Yet here he was, admitting he didn't know if the woman he'd been sleeping with had ever cared about him. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. Don't be. He straightened, the moment of weakness passing. It's a useful reminder. Trust is a luxury I can't afford. Then why are you trusting me? The question hung between us. Why was he? I was nobody, a cleaner who'd overheard something she shouldn't have. He could have left me at the restaurant, could have sent me away with Stefan. could have ensured my silence in any number of permanent ways. Instead, he'd brought me to his safe house, let me see his vulnerability, told me things I suspected few people knew. Because you had nothing to gain by warning me, he said finally. You risked your life, your job, everything, for a stranger. That kind of selflessness, I haven't seen it in my world. Ever. It makes you either incredibly stupid or genuinely good, and I don't think you're stupid. I'm not good either, I protested. I've done things I'm not proud of. Lied, stolen food when I was hungry, stood by while bad things happened to people because I was too scared or too tired to intervene. That's called survival. It's not the same as being bad. He moved closer, his presence filling the space between us. Tessa, whether you want it or not, you're part of my world now. Marcus knows you warned me. The Castellanos know. Every family with an interest in seeing me dead knows there's a woman who helped me escape. You can't go back to your old life. So, I'm a prisoner. You're protected, he corrected. There's a difference. You're free to move around this house, free to speak, to make requests, to disagree with me. But you can't leave, not until I've neutralized the threat, not until I know you'll be safe. And how long will that take? My voice cracked slightly. Days? Weeks? Months? As long as it takes. His hand came up, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear in a gesture that was oddly gentle. I know this isn't fair. You didn't ask for any of this. But I'm not apologizing for keeping you alive. You're keeping me alive because you need me, I accused. You said it yourself. You need someone invisible, someone who can observe without being noticed. Yes, he didn't deny it. I do need you, but that's not the only reason I'm protecting you. You saved my life, Tessa. In my world, that creates a debt, an obligation. I take care of what's mine. I'm not yours, I said. But the words came out weaker than I intended. His smile was small and knowing. Keep telling yourself that. Meanwhile, you'll stay here, under my protection, helping me identify who else has betrayed me. And in return, I'll make sure you stay alive, that you have food, safety, medical care, everything you need. What about what I want? The question burst out before I could stop it. What about my apartment, my life, my freedom to make my own choices? Your apartment is being watched by Marcus's people. Your life, the one you had yesterday, is over. And freedom? He moved even closer, his voice dropping. Freedom is an illusion, Tessa. You were free yesterday, and where did it get you? Scrubbing floors for $20 an hour, skipping meals to help your neighbors, one illness or injury away from homelessness. Is that the freedom you want back? The brutal truth of his words struck home. He was right, and I hated that he was right. My old life had been a constant struggle, a tightrope walk over an abyss of poverty and desperation. At least it was mine, I whispered, and this can be yours too. His hand was still near my face, his thumb now tracing my jawline. I'm not a good man, Tessa. I'm not even sure I'm capable of being good. But I can offer you security, safety, a place in a world where you'll never have to scrub floors or skip meals again. All I ask is your loyalty. And if I say no, then I keep you here anyway because letting you leave would be signing your death warrant. His honesty was brutal. But you'd be a prisoner, and I'd prefer you to be a partner. Some choice. It's the only one I can offer. He stepped back, giving me space. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start figuring out who else I can't trust. And Tessa, thank you. For the warning. For saving my life. I won't forget it. He left me alone with my thoughts and my bandaged hands, and the growing realization that everything I'd known, everything I'd been, had burned away with that restaurant fire. I was in Tyler Grayson's world now, and the only way out was through. I woke to the smell of coffee and something I couldn't immediately place. Safety, maybe, or the absence of fear. For the first time in years, I'd slept without one eye open, without the constant awareness that my building's broken lock meant anyone could walk into my apartment at any time. The bedroom was flooded with morning light. Someone had left clothes folded on the chair beside the bed. Expensive things. Casual, but clearly designer, all in my size. The precision of it was unnerving. How did Tyler know my measurements? Had Stefan gone through my apartment while I slept, cataloging everything about me? I showered in the attached bathroom, wincing as hot water found every scrape and bruise. The face in the mirror looked unfamiliar. Too pale, too wide-eyed, like a deer that had wandered into a wolf's den and was only just realizing the danger. Downstairs, I found Tyler in the kitchen, somehow looking refreshed despite the carnage of last night. He'd changed into dark jeans and a black Henley, casual clothes that only emphasized his lean, dangerous build. He was on the phone, speaking rapid Italian, but he gestured for me to sit when he saw me. The kitchen table was set for two. Fresh fruit, pastries that smelled like they'd come from a bakery minutes ago, eggs prepared perfectly, orange juice in crystal glasses. It was more food than I typically ate in 2 days. "Eat," Tyler commanded after ending his call. "You barely weigh anything, and you'll need your strength." Strength for what? For what comes next? He sat across from me, cradling a coffee cup between his hands. I had Stefan do some preliminary investigation overnight. The situation is worse than I thought. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to eat a strawberry. It tasted impossibly fresh and sweet, nothing like the bruised fruit I bought from discount bins. How bad? Marcus has convinced at least 6 of my senior lieutenants to switch sides. The Castellanos have been planning this for months. Vanessa was just the most visible part. They've systematically undermined my authority, spread rumors that I'm weak, unreliable. Last night was supposed to be the coup that sealed it. But you survived. Because of you. His gray eyes held mine. Which makes you the most valuable asset I have right now. You're living proof that their plan failed. That I'm not as easy to kill as they thought. I'm not an asset. I'm a person. In my world, those things aren't mutually exclusive. He took a sip of coffee. "Tessa, I need you to understand something. The next few weeks are going to be brutal. I'm going to have to remind everyone why they feared the Grayson name in the first place. There will be violence, retribution, things you won't want to see. Then let me leave." No. The word was absolute. You're safer here than anywhere else. And I meant what I said. I need you. Your ability to observe, to be invisible. I'm bringing you to a meeting tonight. I set down my fork, my appetite vanishing. A meeting. With the families who haven't declared loyalty to either side yet, the ones waiting to see who comes out on top. His voice was matter of fact. Marcus will be there. Vanessa, if she survived. The Castellanos. All the vipers in one room, pretending at civility while planning each other's deaths. Why would you bring me? Because they'll expect me to come alone or with Stefan. They won't expect a woman, especially not someone who looks like... He gestured at me. No offense, but you look harmless, forgettable. That's your power. You want me to spy for you. I want you to observe. Listen to conversations. Watch body language. Tell me who seems nervous or guilty or overly confident. You saved my life once by paying attention to what you weren't supposed to hear. I'm asking you to do it again. And if I refuse? He leaned back, his expression unreadable. Then you stay here, safe but useless. And I go to that meeting alone, which significantly decreases my chances of surviving the night. The manipulation was transparent, but effective. He was making me complicit, making me choose to help him rather than forcing me. It was more insidious than any prison. "I have conditions," I heard myself say. His eyebrow arched. "Conditions? If I'm going to help you, I want things in return. Not just safety, actual things that make this bearable." "I'm listening." I'd spent the night awake, thinking through this. If I was trapped in Tyler's world, I needed to make it work for me, not just for him. First, I want my neighbor Mrs. Chen taken care of. Her disability check hasn't come through, and she can't afford her medications. I want someone to make sure she's okay, that her bills are paid. Tyler pulled out his phone, typed something. Done. What else? I want access to information about what's happening. Not just what you tell me, but real information. If my life is at risk, I deserve to know why and from whom. Reasonable, agreed. And this was harder. I want to know that if I do this, if I help you, there's an end point, that I'm not going to be your prisoner forever. Something flickered in his expression. Define end point. Once the threat is neutralized, once you've dealt with Marcus and the Castellanos and whoever else betrayed you, I want the option to leave. To start over somewhere safe with enough money to rebuild my life. No. The flat refusal surprised me. Why not? Because you'll never be safe, Tessa. Not after this. You've seen too much, know too much. The families have long memories. Even if I win this war, there will always be someone who sees you as a loose end, or a way to get to me. He set down his coffee cup. You're in this now, permanently. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. His voice softened slightly. But I can offer you something else. A place in my organization. A real position with real authority. You're smart, observant, capable. Those are rare qualities. Help me rebuild, and I'll make you powerful. Wealthy. Untouchable. I don't want power. Then you're a fool. He stood, moving to the window. Power is the only thing that matters in this world. Money, respect, fear. It all comes from power. Without it, you're prey. I managed fine before. Did you? He turned to face me. Scrubbing floors, skipping meals, one emergency away from homelessness. That's not managing, Tessa. That's surviving by the skin of your teeth. I'm offering you the chance to actually live. I wanted to argue, but the brutal honesty of his words hit home. My old life had been a constant struggle against a system designed to keep people like me down. How many times had I chosen between food and rent? How many nights had I lain awake wondering if this was all there would ever be? What exactly are you proposing? I asked carefully. A partnership. He moved closer. You help me identify traitors and consolidate power. In return, I give you everything you need: safety, comfort, purpose. You live here in comfort, with access to resources you've never dreamed of. And eventually, when this is over, you have a real place in my organization. Not as a prisoner, but as someone valued. As your employee. As someone under my protection, he corrected, with all the benefits that entails. And the price? Loyalty. Absolute and unwavering. His eyes held mine. You don't betray me, you don't lie to me, you don't run from me. In return, I don't let anyone hurt you, ever. It was a devil's bargain, trading one form of survival for another, but at least this one came with clean sheets and enough food to eat. Fine, I said finally. I'll help you, but I want one more thing. Name it. I want to know why you really care if I live or die. You could have left me at the restaurant, could have paid me off and sent me away. Why am I actually here, Tyler? He was quiet for a long moment, something unreadable crossing his expression. Then he moved closer, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. Because when you wrote that warning, he said quietly. You gave me something I haven't had in this life. A choice. A chance. Everyone in my world operates from self-interest or fear. But you risked everything for a stranger because it was the right thing to do. That kind of goodness is rare. Precious. His hand came up, fingers brushing my cheek. And I protect what's precious to me. My breath caught at the touch, at the intensity in his eyes. This close, I could see the faint scar along his jawline, the shadow of exhaustion beneath his eyes, the humanity underneath the monster. I'm not that good, I whispered. You're good enough. His thumb traced my lower lip, sending an unexpected shiver through me. And maybe some of it will rub off on me. The moment stretched between us, charged with something I didn't want to name. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the spell. He stepped back, all business again. That's Stefan. The meeting is at 8 tonight. Wear something from the closet upstairs. We need you to look the part. Not expensive enough to draw attention, but respectable. Someone's assistant or companion. Whose companion? His smile was dangerous. Mine. The dress Stefan brought me was deceptively simple. Charcoal gray, fitted but modest, with 3/4 sleeves and a hemline that hit just below my knees. It was the kind of thing a successful professional would wear to a business dinner. Expensive without being flashy. Forgettable, except for the way it fit, like it had been tailored specifically for my body. Where did this come from? I asked Stefan as he waited by the bedroom door. Boss has resources. His expression revealed nothing. Also has excellent eye for detail. He knew your size within 5 minutes of meeting you. The observation skills of a predator. I should have been more unsettled by that than I was. Dr. Reeves appeared to check my injuries and apply fresh bandages that would be hidden beneath the dress sleeves. You're healing well, she said, her fingers gentle on my scraped palms. But you'll need to be careful tonight. Any additional trauma could reopen these wounds. What kind of trauma should I expect at a business meeting? I tried to joke. She didn't smile. The kind where men with guns negotiate who lives and who dies. The kind where one wrong word can mean violence. Tyler will protect you, but accidents happen. After she left, I stared at myself in the mirror. The dress transformed me into someone I didn't recognize. Someone who could belong in Tyler's world, at least superficially. My dark hair was pulled back in a simple chignon. My face free of makeup except for the faint traces of bruising I couldn't quite hide. I looked like exactly what Tyler needed. Forgettable, harmless, beneath notice. The drive to the meeting took us deeper into the city, to a restaurant I'd seen featured in magazines but would never have dreamed of entering. La Doma was legendary, an old-world Italian establishment where reservations required connections as much as money. This is neutral ground, Tyler explained as Stefan parked in the private lot behind the building. Has been for 40 years. No violence permitted inside. Anyone who breaks that rule answers to all the families collectively. And you think that will stop Marcus? I think Marcus is smart enough to know that starting a war with everyone at once would be suicide. Tyler adjusted his cufflinks. Platinum, I noticed, with some kind of family crest. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than I used to make in 6 months, tailored to emphasize the dangerous grace of his build. But he'll have people outside watching. So will the Castellanos. The moment we leave, all bets are off. Comforting. His hand found mine, squeezing gently. Stay close to me. Don't speak unless spoken to directly. If anything happens, Stefan will get you out through the kitchen. There's a service exit that leads to a secondary escape route. You've really thought this through. I've survived this long by thinking everything through. He released my hand. Ready? I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. The restaurant's interior was old-world elegance. Dark wood paneling, leather booths, dim lighting from antique fixtures. It smelled of garlic and expensive wine and something else. Danger, maybe. Or just the collective weight of decades of criminal negotiations conducted over pasta and red sauce. A hostess led us through the main dining room to a private section in the back. Every eye tracked our progress. I kept my gaze down, playing my part, but I could feel the weight of their attention like a physical thing. The private room held a large round table where 7 people were already seated. I recognized Marcus immediately, the cold-eyed man from the restaurant, now wearing an expensive suit that couldn't quite disguise his thug's build. Beside him sat an older man with silver hair and the kind of face that spoke of old money and older violence. Antonio Castellano, I assumed. And there, across from Marcus, looking like she'd stepped from a fashion magazine, was Vanessa. She'd survived. Her blonde hair was perfectly styled. Her red dress, different from last night but equally stunning, hugged curves that men would kill for. When she saw Tyler, her expression flickered through surprise, fear, and finally settling on a mask of wounded innocence. Tyler. Marcus stood, spreading his hands in a gesture of false welcome. When I heard you were dead, I was devastated. Such a relief to see the rumors were exaggerated. Were they rumors, Marcus, or wishful thinking? Tyler's voice was ice. He didn't sit, keeping me slightly behind him, one hand resting on the small of my back. The touch was possessive, protective. Interesting that you'd mourn me while sitting in my chair at this table. Someone had to maintain order after your tragic death. Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes. I was merely stepping in to steal what's mine, Tyler interrupted. Let's not pretend at civility. You tried to kill me, Marcus. You failed. Now we're here to discuss the consequences. Antonio Castellano cleared his throat. Gentlemen, perhaps we should all sit. Violence is prohibited here, but that doesn't mean we can't be civilized. Tyler finally sat, pulling out the chair beside him for me. I slid into it, hyper-aware of every gaze on me now. Vanessa's eyes were calculating as they swept over me, clearly trying to figure out who I was and what I meant to Tyler. Who's your friend? An older woman I didn't recognize asked. She had the sharp features of someone who'd survived decades in this world through sheer cunning. Tessa works for me, Tyler said simply. She's under my protection. The way he said protection made it clear there was more to the story, but no one pressed. In this world, apparently, some things went without saying. Well, Antonio spread his hands. Now that we're all here, shall we discuss the current situation? Tyler, Marcus made certain claims about your fitness to lead. About your, how did he phrase it? Diminished capacity. He claimed I'd gone soft. Tyler's tone was conversational, that therapy and a romantic relationship had compromised my judgment, that the organization needed stronger leadership. And in response, Marcus interjected, you survived an assassination attempt and immediately went to ground. Not exactly the behavior of a strong leader. No. Tyler leaned back in his chair, supremely confident. Tell me, Marcus, how many of the 6 lieutenants you flipped have I already dealt with? Marcus's expression flickered. I don't know what you... Sergio was found in his car this morning. Heart attack, very tragic. Though the coroner might find it suspicious that a man in perfect health suddenly died. Tyler ticked them off on his fingers. Nico disappeared overnight. I hear his family is very worried. Vincent tried to flee to Miami. He didn't make it past the airport. Should I continue? The room had gone very quiet. I felt sick, realizing Tyler had spent the night not just investigating, but eliminating threats. 3 men were dead because of what had happened at the restaurant. You're admitting to murder, the older woman said, though she sounded more interested than horrified. I'm admitting to handling internal discipline, Tyler corrected. Traitors don't deserve trials, Rosa. You know that as well as I do. Antonio Castellano's expression had hardened. Those men were under our protection once they declared for Marcus. You violated agreements. They violated their oaths to me first. Tyler's voice went cold. Don't talk to me about agreements, Antonio. You funded this coup attempt. You put Vanessa in my bed to gather intelligence. You've been moving against me for months. Business is business, Antonio said with a shrug. Marcus approached us with an opportunity. You can't blame us for exploring our options, and now you've seen the cost of choosing the wrong option. Tyler's gaze swept the table. So, let's be clear about what happens next. Marcus dies. Tonight, tomorrow, next week, I don't care. He's already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. The 3 remaining lieutenants who betrayed me have 24 hours to beg for mercy. They won't receive it, but they can beg. And us? Rosa asked. The families who stayed neutral? You survive. You prosper even. I reward loyalty and punish betrayal. It's a simple system. His hand found mine under the table, squeezing once. But make no mistake, anyone who moves against me from this point forward won't get a second chance. Vanessa spoke for the first time, her voice trembling convincingly. Tyler, I never wanted to hurt you. They threatened my family. Don't. The single word cut like a blade. Whatever we had, whatever you pretended we had, it's over. You sold yourself to the Castellanos for money and the promise of power. That's your choice. But if I ever see you again, Vanessa, if you ever speak my name, if you ever so much as think about crossing into my territory. He paused. Well, let's just say you won't enjoy the consequences. The threat hung in the air. Vanessa's mask cracked slightly, fear showing through. This is all very dramatic, Marcus said, trying to regain control of the conversation. But you're outnumbered. Tyler, 3 families backed my play. You have Stefan and... His gaze flickered dismissively over me. Your assistant. The math doesn't favor you. The math never favored David against Goliath either. Tyler stood smoothly. I didn't come here to negotiate, Marcus. I came to deliver a message. You're finished. Your allies will abandon you when they realize the cost of supporting a losing coup. And when you die, and you will die, everyone will remember what happens to people who betray the Grayson family. He pulled me to my feet, his grip firm, but not painful. We're leaving. Anyone who tries to follow us breaks neutral ground. I trust that won't be an issue. Rosa shook her head. Go in peace, Tyler. You've made your position clear. We walked out of that room with every eye burning into our backs. Stefan materialized beside us in the main dining room, along with 2 other men I hadn't seen before. Backup, clearly, in case someone decided to risk breaking the rules. The moment we stepped outside, Tyler's entire demeanor shifted. His hand tightened on mine, pulling me close against his side. Fast, he commanded, to the car. We were halfway across the parking lot when the first shot rang out. Stefan tackled Tyler, pushing him behind a car. I hit the pavement hard, my newly bandaged palms screaming in protest. More shots, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. So much for neutral ground, Stefan growled, returning fire with a gun I hadn't seen him draw. Tyler was on top of me, his body a shield, his weight pressing me into the concrete. Don't move, he commanded in my ear. Don't even breathe. I could feel his heart hammering against my back, could smell his cologne mixed with cordite and fear. He was terrified, not for himself, but for me. More gunshots, shouting, the screech of tires. Then, suddenly, silence. Clear, Stefan called. Boss, we need to move, now. Tyler pulled me up, his hands running over me frantically. Are you hit? Tessa, look at me. Are you hurt? I'm fine, I managed. though I was shaking so badly I could barely stand. 3 of Marcus's men, Stefan reported. Dead, but there will be more. We need to get to the secondary safe house. Tyler nodded, his arms steel around my waist as he practically carried me to the Mercedes. Once inside, with the doors locked and Stefan driving like he was competing in a death race, Tyler turned to me. "I'm sorry," he said, and the raw emotion in his voice shocked me. "This is my fault. I shouldn't have brought you. I put you at risk." "You put yourself at risk trying to protect me," I interrupted, finding my voice. "You could have been shot. Better me than you." His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing over my cheekbone. "Do you understand now, Tessa? This is what being in my world means. Violence, danger, death around every corner. I understand. And I did. But I also understood something else. Tyler Grayson, the feared mob boss who killed without hesitation, had just used his body to shield mine from bullets. Had risked his life for someone he'd known less than 24 hours. That meant something. Maybe everything. The secondary safe house was different from the brownstone. Industrial, fortified. The kind of place designed for siege warfare rather than comfortable hiding. Steel-reinforced doors, security cameras at every angle, and armed men I didn't recognize patrolling the perimeter. "Who are they?" I asked, as Tyler led me through a concrete corridor that smelled of gun oil and fear. "Loyalists. Men who've been with the Grayson family since my father's time." His hand never left my back, constantly guiding, protecting. The coup attempt forced me to call in old debts. These are soldiers who remember what loyalty means. We entered a central room that had been converted into a command center. Maps covered one wall, photographs of faces I didn't recognize pinned beside them with red X's through several. A bank of computer monitors showed security feeds from locations across the city. Stefan was already at work, coordinating with people via encrypted channels. He glanced up when we entered. 3 families have publicly withdrawn support from Marcus in the last hour. Rosa sent word that she's declaring for you officially. The Russos are following her lead. "And the Castellanos?" Tyler's voice was flat. "Antonio's gone to ground. Vanessa with him." Stefan pulled up a security feed showing an empty mansion. They cleared out fast. Professional extraction. They knew tonight would force a reckoning. Tyler studied the screens, his expression unreadable. "Put a bounty on Marcus. 2 million cash for whoever delivers him alive. 1 million for proof of death." "Boss, that's a message," Tyler interrupted. "I want everyone to know the cost of betrayal. Marcus doesn't get to hide. He doesn't get to run. He ends." I watched Tyler give orders, watched him transform into the mob boss everyone feared. This was who he really was. Not the vulnerable man who'd admitted he didn't know if Vanessa had ever loved him, but the cold strategist who calculated death like a chess move. And yet, every few minutes, his eyes would find me, checking, making sure I was still there, still safe, still his. "You should rest," he said after an hour of coordinating his counterattack. "Dr. Reeves set up a room for you upstairs." "I'm fine. You're shaking." His hands settled on my shoulders, thumbs brushing my collarbone. "You were shot at tonight. Twice. You've earned rest. So have you." Something softened in his expression. "I'll rest when this is over. When Marcus is dead, and the Castellanos have paid for their arrogance. When you're safe. I'm safe now. You've got an army outside." "An army isn't enough." His voice dropped, intimate despite Stefan and the others working nearby. "Not when it comes to you. I keep seeing you on that pavement, bullets hitting inches from your head. I keep thinking about what would have happened if my aim had been slower. If Stefan had been a second late. But you weren't. I'm alive because you protected me. This time." His jaw tightened. But there will be a next time, Tessa. There always is in this life. And eventually my luck runs out. Eventually I'm too slow or the shooter's too good, and then I did something I hadn't planned, something that surprised us both. I reached up and pulled his face down to mine, kissing him with all the fear and adrenaline and strange, terrifying feelings that had been building since that first moment in the restaurant corridor. He froze for a heartbeat. Then his arms came around me, crushing me against him as he deepened the kiss. It wasn't gentle or tentative. It was desperate, claiming, a promise and a threat wrapped together. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. Tessa, don't. I pressed my fingers to his lips. Don't tell me this is a mistake or that you're protecting me or any of the logical reasons why this shouldn't happen. I know what you are. I know what this life costs, and I'm choosing it anyway. I'm choosing you. Why? The question was raw, vulnerable. I've given you nothing but danger and violence. I've trapped you in a world you never asked to enter. Why would you choose this? Because you're the first person in my life who's ever fought for me. The truth spilled out before I could stop it. My whole life I've been invisible, disposable, someone to use and forget. But you see me. You value me. You're willing to die to keep me safe. How am I supposed to walk away from that? His thumb traced my lower lip, his eyes dark with emotion I couldn't quite name. You're not disposable, Tessa. You're extraordinary. And if we survive this, if we make it through to the other side, I'm going to spend every day proving that to you. If we survive. When we survive. His certainty was absolute. I don't lose, Tessa. Not when the stakes are this high. A phone rang, shattering the moment. Stefan answered, listened, then turned to Tyler with an expression of grim satisfaction. Marcus just surfaced. He's at the old warehouse district, the one your father used for meetings. He's called for a sit-down. Just you and him. No backup. It's a trap, I said immediately. Of course it's a trap. Tyler was already moving toward the weapons locker on the far wall. But it's also an opportunity. Marcus is desperate. Desperate men make mistakes. You can't go. I caught his arm. He wants you alone so he can kill you. He wants me alone because he knows his support has collapsed. Tyler pulled out a handgun, checking the magazine with practiced ease. The families are abandoning him. His own men are tempted by the bounty on his head. He's got maybe 48 hours before someone delivers him to me in pieces. This is his last chance to negotiate or go out on his terms. Then let him run. Let him disappear. No. Tyler's voice went cold. He tried to kill me. Worse, he put you in danger. That doesn't get forgiven. It gets answered. Stefan stepped forward. I'm coming with you. No, you stay here with Tessa. If this goes wrong, you get her out of the city. There's a contact in Seattle, a woman named Rivera. She'll keep Tessa safe, give her a new identity, make sure she's protected. Tyler, I started. Promise me. He turned to face me fully. If I don't come back, you let Stefan take you to safety. You don't try to avenge me or finish this. You just disappear and live the life you deserve. Promise me, Tessa. I wanted to refuse, wanted to argue, but the stark fear in his eyes stopped me. I promise. He kissed me again, softer this time, like a goodbye. Then he was gone, walking out into the night with death, waiting. The next 3 hours were the longest of my life. Stefan tried to keep me calm, tried to distract me with updates from the field, but nothing could quiet the voice screaming in my head that I'd let Tyler walk into an ambush alone. Finally, Stefan's phone rang. He listened, his expression unreadable, then ended the call. Well? I demanded. Marcus is dead. Tyler put 2 bullets in his head. then burned the warehouse down with the body inside. He's on his way back. Relief crashed through me so intensely my knees went weak. He's okay? Took a graze to his shoulder, but Dr. Reeves will patch him up. Stefan almost smiled. Boss wants you to know he kept his promise. He survived. Tyler arrived 20 minutes later, blood seeping through his shirt but walking under his own power. Dr. Reeves immediately descended on him, but he waved her off long enough to pull me into his arms. I told you, he murmured against my hair. I don't lose. Over the next week, Tyler systematically dismantled what remained of the coup attempt. The 3 remaining traitor lieutenants were found dead in ways that sent clear messages. Antonio Castellano fled to Italy, leaving behind half his empire to escape Tyler's wrath. And Vanessa, beautiful, treacherous Vanessa, was found in her penthouse with an empty bottle of pills beside her bed. The official ruling was suicide, guilt over her betrayal driving her to despair. I knew better. Tyler didn't talk about it, but I saw the grim satisfaction in his eyes when he heard the news. Whatever end Vanessa had met, it had been exactly what Tyler wanted. Does it bother you? He asked one night as we sat in the Brownstones' living room, his arm around my shoulders, my head on his chest. What I did to them, to her. I thought about it honestly. It should. A month ago, I would have been horrified, but now... I paused. Now I understand that some people are poison, that letting them live just means they'll hurt someone else. You did what you had to do. You've changed, he observed. Being in my world has changed you. So have you. I tilted my head to look at him. You're different than you were that first night. Less cold, more human? He smiled slightly. That's your influence. You make me want to be better than what this life requires. And you make me feel seen, valued, safe. I hesitated, then said the words I'd been holding back. I love you, Tyler. I know it's fast and probably crazy, but I do. His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone in that gesture I'd come to crave. I love you too, Tessa. You're the only real thing in my life. The only person who stayed when everyone else ran or betrayed me. That's worth more than any empire. So what happens now? I asked. What does the future look like for us? That depends on you. He shifted to face me fully. You could still take that money, that new identity in Seattle, disappear and build a normal life. Or you stay with me, officially, permanently. Not as someone under my protection, but as my partner in everything. I rebuild my organization, and you help me make it better, stronger, more than just violence and fear. You want me to be part of your empire? I want you to be my wife. The words hung between us, impossible and perfect. I want to give you everything you deserve. Safety, comfort, purpose. I want to wake up beside you every day and know that despite everything I've done, I somehow ended up with something good and pure in my life. I should have been terrified. Should have run from the mob boss proposing marriage after 2 weeks of knowing each other. But instead, I felt only certainty. Yes, I whispered. Yes to all of it. The partnership, the future, the life with you. Yes. His kiss was tender and fierce, a claiming and a promise. And as I melted into his arms, I realized something profound. I'd run into that restaurant to escape poverty and desperation. But I'd found something infinitely more valuable. A man who saw my worth, who fought for me, who loved me with the same intensity he brought to everything else in his dangerous world. I was Tessa Morgan, former invisible cleaner, future wife of Tyler Grayson. And somehow, impossibly, that felt exactly right.